Hi Papercrafters, welcome to another Joe Tips video. I'm Joanne Rogers, a Stampin' Up! Demonstrator in Central Alberta, Canada, and I've been designing with you in mind since 1999. Today I have another Joe Tips video for you. This one is all about how you can add color to your embossing folder for some really cool effects for your cards. So let's get started. If you're like me, you love your embossing folders. They are wonderful for your backgrounds, but this is a way that you can add color and you can get two totally different looks depending on how you add your color to your cards. So all you need are three things, and I'm going to show you what they are right now. So all you need is a Stampin' Up! Pad, and this is a classic pad, and you want to make sure that you're using either a classic pad or a craft, and classic is going to be your quickest drying, and so you're probably going to want to use a classic pad. You need an embossing folder, and I have here the Parisian Flourish, which is a 3D embossing folder, and I'll tell you more about the 3D in just a minute. And then you need your Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine or a die cutting machine that you have at home, and that's all, well, and some paper, and so that's all you need to get going. So I'm going to pull in 2 sheets of my Very Vanilla, and I've just cut these down to 4 by 5 1/4 for a card front. Just going to move this off to the side for a moment. So all you need to do is open up your folder and you're going to ink it up. Now you can decide if you only want to have one piece of paper go through, but I like to do 2 pieces at one time. So I'm actually getting 2 at the price of 1 roll through. So all I'm going to do is open up my classic pad, and I'm going to pat it everywhere on here. And I'm not going to be really precise about how I'm patting it. I am just going to get it on here. Now if you wanted, you could use a sponge brayer, or you could use a sponge, or you could even use your blending brushes if you want, but it's going to take you quite a bit longer probably to get that on. Maybe not with the brayer. I just find that it's quick to do it this way. So now take a look at your embossing folder before you go any further. And I think you can see that you have ink placed in different places, and that's because of the nature of an embossing folder. So it's raised in some areas and it's debossed, so that's embossed or debossed in other areas. So depending which side you like, and you may find that you like one side of an embossing folder much more than another. I find that I like both sides at different times. So then I just take my 2 pieces of cardstock and I make sure that they're pretty much close together, and I carefully place them down. And if I don't have ink in some areas, that's not going to bother me, because the whole look of this is something that's sort of abstract. And then I'm just going to carefully close it, and I'm going to hold it together so that my paper doesn't move around. Pull in your Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine, and you're going to place your folder on top. Again, just being careful that the paper doesn't move. Put your 3D embossing folder plate on top, and then you're just going to run that through. Then when you run it through, once you've run it through, open it up. Just be careful because there's still ink all the way around. When you run it through, what you've done is you've transferred ink from the embossing folder onto wherever it was raised. Here is where you see the ink here. So that gives you one look. What's really cool is that on the exact same opposite side, you get a completely different look. So let me just pull that so that they're side by side. Now they will stick together a little bit because they've been embossed together, but that's how you can get 2 totally different looks out of one embossing folder and one run through with ink. Now, if you wanted to have a little more consistent color in here, that I actually quite like that look. But if you don't, just give yourself a little bit more ink and try the sponge brayer and see if that gets a little bit better coverage for you. So that dries really quickly with the classic ink. Here I've also pulled in and used the tin tile. So I want to show you what the tin tile looks like. So it comes out perfect too. This is just a pretty peacock paper, and you can see here some other ones that I did. So you can see that you can get different amounts of ink. So here is the exact same folder using the front and the back. So again, quite a different look, and depending on what side of the folder you're on. Brick and mortar is another one that looks completely different. So here I tried it on colored paper, and here I did as well. So this is gray granite, and this is Sahara sand with Sahara sand, and I think there's a little bit of soft suede on here. So that gives you a sort of a recessed kind of brick, and then more of a front and center brick, I guess. And then another one that I did, which is, those were all 3D embossing folders. This is the Meadow Moments, and the Meadow Moments is not a 3D. And I did these two sweet little guys too. I think that goes that way. And so you can see here it's Pool Party on top of Whisper White or Basic White. And it gives you another quite a solid background with white popping out, or quite a delicate kind of background as well. So those are some ways that you can add ink to your backgrounds. Now what you want to do is you want to clean this off. So clean it off just by running it under some running water, and pat it dry with either a towel or something that's lint free would probably be best, or maybe a paper towel that doesn't have a lot of lint in it. And then just leave it open and let it dry just for a little bit so that it's not wet at all when you put it back in your stash of supplies. Another thing to keep in mind, you don't want to use Stays On ink. Stays On ink is permanent and it will discolor. So I could leave this here for the next little while I'm working, and it'll still be wet enough for me to run that under my water and lose all of the color. So that's why you want to use the classic ink. So I think that that's probably about it. Give a shot with all of the embossing folders that you have, and see if you like one of them more than another, or if you like one side more than another. So that's it. I hope you found this tip useful. Make sure you don't miss another Joe Tips video by clicking on the subscribe button now. And if you've got a paper crafting question niggling at you, drop me an email at joe@designwithjoe.ca, and let's see if we can't figure that out. And if you're not on my mailing list, hop on over to www.designwithjoe.ca and get yourself signed up. You get a free gift when you do. Thanks very much. Have a great paper crafting day.